Jordan and I are in the lab today getting prepared for the big eclipse. I know you're obviously a giant space photography nerd, so you're jacked up over this.
Totally. This is going to be the last one for North America for about 20 years.
And you probably won't make it to the next one, so it's important for Jordan to get this one in while we can.
Yeah. We're so Monday on the 8th, which for you guys it's in the past, we have a total solar eclipse passing right by where the lab is, actually.
Yeah, we're fortunate in Ohio. So here in Cincinnati, what do we get, like a 93%?
93, 92, somewhere in there.
Okay, so we get pretty good coverage, but the intern has a family on a farm, northern Ohio, that's totality, yeah?
Not only just totality,
there's more?
It's so close to the center of the totality path that other than walking across the field to the other side of it, we couldn't be in more of a perfect spot.
So essentially the best thing the intern has ever done here at Storage Review is have a family member with a farm in the right spot for an eclipse.
At the right time.
That's his crowning achievement at this point.
It's something to be proud of.
I don't think so. He sort of lucked it ass backwards into that one. Okay, so you've got ice cream sundaes and sausages to cook out, but you also have a lot of cool tech gear.
Yeah, so setting aside all the fun camp stuff that we're gonna do, we're bringing out the full gambit for this. We've got our 8-inch Celestron, our 11-inch Celestron. We've got our 62 megapixel camera, which lets us shoot raw color images.
That doesn't look exactly like a camera the way most people would think about it.
This is very specifically designed. So it's actually got these grid fins on here.
Right.
And there's a fan that blows through. There's a Peltier element to keep the sensor cool. The actual whole camera is really only about this much right here in the front.
Okay.
But it keeps that lens or that sensor cool. You can cool it down up to about 30 degrees below ambient. And it's a full frame sensor, so it's 62 megapixels. And the point of cooling it is it reduces the amount of noise that's induced by reading the cells every so often, which for us in this exact experiment isn't going to be as key as some of the more nighttime astrophotography work that we do, where the sensor is collecting data for minutes at a time.
Right.
It's really important that it's cool. We're going to be shooting relatively fast. I think our longest exposure is going to be about 1.2 seconds.
Okay.
But being able to keep the sensor cool and have that peace of mind that we can monitor the temperature of it also lets us know everything's working well with our solar filter and everything going through the scope.
The solar filter is an interesting one because one of the things the news is all up in arms about is don't blow out your cell phone camera taking pictures of the sun.
Don't point your cell phone camera at the sun for a whole bunch of time.
I'm sure people will destroy their iPhones, right?
I think
or is it not that big of a deal?
It's not that big of a deal, I think, on the smaller stuff because you're not really getting the focal length. And I mean, imagine your phone sitting in your car and the camera just exploding, right?
Right.
But when you're focusing this much light, and whether it's through our 11-inch, or I think we're going to select our 8-inch actually for this because this guy had a bit of an issue coming down here.
Great.
When you're focusing that much light on such a small point, you're putting a lot of energy and a lot of heat energy in there, especially we're trying to get a picture of the full sun, and then we're trying to remove the filter like 2 to 3 seconds before totality.
Okay.
It's a lot of energy to get focused. So again, having the cooler on there help keep that cool, having everything prepared, knowing our timing, which that's another interesting piece, is the amount of math and calculations that went in behind the scenes.
You don't have to do any of it.
No, I didn't do any of it.
It's all software
driven.
driven.
A program that did it
good.
for me.
Yeah.
But it's still really interesting.
Yeah, leave it to the AI guy. I downloaded a program. Look at me. I'm so smart with my beard and my camera.
Well, and that brings up another piece.
Does it?
So we're going to be pulling in a lot of data. We don't know exactly how much we're going to do yet, but I know it's going to be north of 30 gigabytes. We might be up to the 100, 120 gigabytes in a very short amount of time.
Have you mathed out how big a file is? You said it's a 62 megapixel sensor. Do we know what a file?
Yeah, so when that's raw, 1 byte per pixel, 62 million bytes, 62 megabytes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was easy.
Yeah.
I probably should
told you I could do math.
1 times 62.
Yeah.
Okay. So the storage requirement, though, this time compared to the nighttime photography is a lot lighter because it's fewer images.
So,
lower exposure.
So
what have we got?
Yes and no. So we're going to be capturing a lot of stuff really quick.
Okay.
So speed is kind of a factor, but this being, it's going to be August 2044 before we get a chance to do this again.
If.
Redundancy and having it in a spot that we're not going to lose it somewhere between the field and the lab. somewhere in the field due to something dying. So we didn't really want to take any chances or take any risk there. So we reached out to our friends over at OWC, fittingly.
And snag, Otherworld Computing.
Yeah.
So they have an already Astro lean in their own brand.
A little bit, yeah. Their logo is a little spacey.
Right.
But we reached out to them and asked them what they thought they could provide, if they had any good recommendations for us. And they sent over this ThunderBlade.
What's really interesting about OWC as a partner for this project is I think most people think of them, well, obviously their bread and butter is the media and entertainment space.
Yeah.
So they're on sets all over the world and they provide things like this that are really specific, built for set life. This has got redundancy
Rugged.
and RAID and it's rugged and all that sort of thing.
It's designed to work. They're actually in their software when you're setting this up, there's a photography preset to configure the RAID.
Oh, really?
With the block sizes and stuff, and it automatically kind of decides the workload and the best thing.
Well, that's the difference between gear that's designed for a task and more of a generalist drive that's designed to do everything. So this is the perfect piece of kit for this. As Jordan said, it's rugged. It's got the fins on it for heat dissipation. 2 Thunderbolt ports on it, 4 SSDs inside.
Yeah.
They actually make another version where you can get 8 SSDs inside if you need that. It's a little bit bigger, but this thing comes in really handy because you can connect this straight to your PC, which is connected to your camera, connected to the Celestron, and that chain goes straight to the storage.
Yeah, it makes what we're going to do in the field truly a 2-wire solution to the PC. So we've got backup laptops imaged ready to go with all the drivers and everything we need to run the mounts and the cameras and all that. And basically our two things that we don't have backups for really are our camera and our storage. Everything else is we've got redundant all the way out through and through. And this guy came in clutch for us and is able to provide that redundant single point storage for us out in the field.
Right, so in this case, like Jordan said, OWC gave us the storage, which was really a fundamental thing. And there's not a lot like this. There's some, I guess you could drag a NAS up there, even a flash NAS or something like that.
This isn't going to replace your NAS. You're not going to buy this because you've got, a Synology sitting on the shelf and you're going to replace it with this. This is very built for purpose. If you need this, you need this. It's not. This is a very niche product. In typical storage review style, we're doing it. We're going overkill with it. So this is definitely overkill, but it leaves no holds on the table. All in, we can go with this guy.
So you talked about RAID configuration. SoftRAID 8 is out now. That supports this. I hope you didn't let Kevin near it because his default setting is 0.
Yeah, I did. I came in to configure this the other day, getting ready for shooting today, and it was in RAID 0. And it
was in RAID 0?
It's fast.
Kevin's a lunatic. He's an absolute lunatic.
I did elect to go with RAID 5 to give us some form of data redundancy that, M.2 drives are so reliable, but still that little off chance. This is once in a lifetime almost data that to be able to capture.
Right.
For being 20 years, who knows where we're going to be with tech then. Using the best of what we have right now, I think it was worth putting in the time and the effort to hunt this guy down and set it up properly.
All right, so you've gone over a lot of the gear. The plan is then get out into the field, rig up.
Yeah.
What?
Well, I still have your credit card number memorized.
Okay, shut the hell up. So the plan now is to take all this kit up to Lima, Ohio, get this all rigged up, and sit and wait.
Yeah, so we're going to set up the night before the eclipse. So we'll set up on Sunday, and I'll get everything kind of dialed in. And weather permitting, we'll get some nighttime shots before and make sure the mount is all calibrated and the scope's all calibrated. And then sleep in till 10 or 11, and wake up and point the telescope at the sun with the solar filter, and start taking pictures.
And it should be what, about 310 up there, 315 when that hits full.
We'll put the little screen grab on the screen here, but we've got it all pre-calculated out for our times. There's a multi-hour window in the middle between what's called first contact and fourth contact. So first contact is when the moon first touches the sun.
Wait, they don't really touch.
They don't really touch. They're very far apart. They just look like they're touching. It's like me and Brian in the lab.
Yeah. That did get me to thinking, though. like you have all this knowledge, you've got an app to track the moon, you know exactly what it's going to do, how it's going to behave. There shall be no surprises.
Down to the millisecond.
Right, there shall be no surprises. Have you, as an astro nerd, thought about maybe a few thousand years ago when one of these would have happened, if you were seeing this? I mean, I know you're not supposed to look at the sun, but maybe they didn't know that back then and probably looked anyway. But if this happened, this would blow your freaking mind,
well,
right?
Yeah, and we've got a period of time that we don't have to wear our glasses, about 3 minutes and 50 seconds right in the middle, where you can look at it with the naked eye and it is safe to look at. Yeah, looking up and seeing that glowing ring around, oh my God, where does all the light just go?
Right.
It gets cold out and there's
Cold,
a gentle breeze.
a little windy.
Yeah.
I think in past eclipses too, we've even heard like crickets chirping, and because they get confused at nighttime.
Well, I guess there's chickens right next to where we're going to be shooting, so I'm wondering if they'll get double the eggs that day.
I don't think that's how that works. 3 minutes of darkness does not yield a double egg delivery. All right, so we're gonna pack this up.
Yep.
Run up to Lima, shoot the stuff, see how it goes.
Yep.
And that's what's next. Let's get
We'll
this
check
stuff
in with you out in the field.
Yeah, let's get this stuff loaded and off we go.
We've got our telescope set up, we've got our laptop set up, we've got our OWC ThunderBlade set up. We're ready to capture this eclipse. We're about 90 minutes out right now from the eclipse actually happening as far as the first contact starts. And we've got the scope trained on the sun, we're all focused up, we're ready to go. We're kind of just double checking everything, getting all the fine tuning going, but I wanted to take a second and stop and show you guys all the cool stuff that we have out here and how it all works together to make a capture like this happen, weather permitting. So let's dive in. Let's start over here on this end with the hardware side. So we've got our Lenovo P16. This is the Gen 1 model. We just reviewed it not too long ago. It's got an i9 in it, so this has plenty of processing power to do some real-time processing and stretching. But the main linchpin that we're using here is our OWC ThunderBlade. This is the 4-drive model. We've got 4 2-terabyte drives in there, and they're all configured in a RAID 5. So it's giving us some redundancy control, and it's giving us a little bit of a speed advantage too, because it's all Thunderbolt. We're capturing, with our scope, we're capturing 62 megapixel images, and we're capturing those raw. So they're about 62 megabytes raw. We're going to be doing a photo every 15 to 30 seconds for about a 3.5 hour period. So we have lots of information to process after the fact. We need a place to store that, store it quickly, and have basically no latency in the chain. Now, a lot of laptop drives can handle that, but if you try to do real-time processing on it, you can end up with some weird stuff and also some capacity limitations as we start getting into these longer captures. So that's why the ThunderBlade is important for us. And then, just for anyone curious, that's just a little GPS receiver that helps get us some precise timing control for our calculation software, which gives us our countdown and stuff. That's based on our specific location and our specific time right now. Moving over to the power side of things, we're using our Anker Solex 2000 battery. So we've got our 110 output to power all our computer hardware, and then the telescope and all the hardware over there works off the 12 volt out of the car socket 12 volt adapter. This guy's currently got a solar panel hooked up to it, and we're basically maintaining our current usage is getting free power from the sun. So we're maintaining about that 97% mark on him. Moving up to the capture rig itself, let's start with the optical tubes. It's Celestron Edge HD. It's the 8-inch model. It's got a 2032 millimeter focal length natively at f10. We've actually installed on here, in order to get a wider field of view, this 0.67 reducer. So you multiply that 2032 times 0.67, gives us around 1380, 1400 millimeters of focal length. Attached to that, we've got our ZWO 6200 MC Pro. It's a one-shot color camera, so it's capturing all the colors. It's a full frame size sensor, so it's just an absolutely massive sensor. And we're actually, right with that reducer and this telescope paired, we've actually got a slight vignetting in all of the corners, so that won't really matter for us, but we're basically at the optimal sensor size for this setup. Our mount is an older Celestron C-Gem mount that we have. This has been hyper-tuned by us. We went through all the gears and all the drivetrain inside, made it all work really well, really smooth. We had no problems with tracking. We've been out here kind of taking pictures of the sun and getting everything dialed in for the last few hours. And then we did a custom weight set on here. We're not using our guide scope today. We don't need to for the sun. It's big enough and the software is smart enough to be able to track the movement of that as it goes through. So we're relying purely on the main optical tube. We are using the Celestron provided solar eclipse filter that will come off when totality starts. But until that happens, until about 40 seconds before the solar eclipse is in totality, we have to leave that filter on or we risk damaging our very expensive camera sensor. So that's kind of an overview of the setup. We're a little less than 90 minutes out right now from the first contact event, so we'll be capturing frames and get a whole time-lapse video through the entire event. Clouds permitting right now, everything's looking really good. I see a few jet contrails, but those don't really affect us for what we're doing here today. We'll catch you during the eclipse. So we're less than 10 minutes out from the first contact right now. First contact is when the moon just barely starts to kiss the sun. We're all lined up. We ended up having to do a meridian flip on the mount. That's where the telescope changes sides to keep tracking the sun. Really cool thing. So for those of you who aren't aware of how equatorial mounts work, we're actually aligned on our latitude here, so we're on the same plane, and then the only axis that has to move is this rotation, so everything else kind of stays in one spot relative to what the telescope sees and how it works. Again, we got it all flipped around just a few minutes ago. We got the sun recaptured. We didn't lose any sort of focus or any sort of tracking issues. We're good to go. We're kind of excited here, so we're gonna get our glasses on, our microphone handles on, and enjoy some eclipse time. So we've got about 71 minutes right now until we hit totality. So we're going to be capturing time lapse. We're capturing right now a frame every 30 seconds. I think that's going to be a good amount for our time lapse. Everything's looking good on the telescope front. Everything's looking cool visually. Everybody's got all their safety glasses on. So I'm going to head out from the tent here, take a look at it and enjoy it. All right, so for you, it's probably been like 3 frames in the video, but for us, it's been close to about 40 minutes. Right now, we're about 18 minutes from totality starting. We'll get about 3.5 or almost nearly 4 minutes, 3 minutes and 54 seconds of totality. Here's our current view of the eclipse out the telescope. Looks the same through the glasses, super fun. You can tell the lighting starting to change out here. All right, so we're pretty close to totality right now, wherever this gets inserted in the video, but tell us where we're at for this and our perfect spot.
Perfect spot is located in Ohio, Auglaize County, German Township, in the town of New Bremen.
Yeah, and it's perfect. We are the only place that would be better is if we went into the middle of the field. We are so close to the center line right now. It's absolutely perfect. Thank you so much for having us out here.
You're welcome.
Man, this is great. This is such a cool experience. Thank you.
We'll let you take some of the grass along with you. As
All right, sounds good. I'll shove some in my pockets and use it for packing SSDs. All right, we'll check back in a few minutes.
Okay, so we are about 8 minutes to totality, and it's kind of fun looking at our solar power. So we were at around 130, 140 watts earlier. We're down to 17 watts of input power.
Yeah, this is a really cool demonstration of kind of the amount of solar radiation that hits the earth on all the time every day when there's no cloud cover. A couple folks in our party out here were commenting on, oh wow, I'm feeling kind of cold now, and I remarked, yeah, you're not getting the amount of solar radiation that you are because we're really close. There's only a little sliver of the sun left, and this is an interesting illustration where we can see that there's only about 16 watts, and it's about a square meter worth of solar, which normally pulls in, like we said, about 150, 160 watts. We're down to just about 10% of that, so we can actually kind of estimate almost that there's about 10% of the sun left uncovered. 30. It's almost safe. Hold on. Hold. Okay, you can remove your glasses now.
Oh, wow.
So we're under totality right now. So if you look on the plane kind of east to west here, you can see the planets. We've got Mercury and Jupiter are two of the brightest. Saturn's up there a little bit, you can kind of see, but we're in totality right now. So the white light that you're seeing is not the sun itself, it's the corona of the sun. It's the hot gases outside and around the sun that are still glowing and emitting light. This is the only time that you can see this is with a total solar eclipse. And somebody sent out fireworks. Look there. We got the beads.
Okay, we're at maximum eclipse right now. This is the most it'll be.
Oh, this is so weird. I love it. I love seeing that. Yeah, that's fun.
Hey guys, so we're almost done here. We've got about 11 minutes left of eclipse coverage here. We're at the 11 minutes down to the fourth contact, which is when the moon stops eclipsing the sun at all. We got some really cool photos. Here's our current live view where we're almost done. And here was one of my favorite pictures from the field processing. We got to take these back to the lab still. We got quite a lot of data on here. We got gigabytes and gigabytes and gigabytes worth of data on our OWC. It's all RAID protected. It performed beautifully, actually. Some of the cool stuff about it was we were able to process while we were still doing capturing without losing any sort of performance hit on the drive, thanks to the Thunderbolt connection and the RAID array on there. Rig performed really well. Everything went really smoothly. It was kind of a really real experience, super fun. Next one's in about 20 years. Hopefully we'll be around to capture that with whatever the latest and greatest is then.
The eclipse has occurred. We're back in the lab, and you're still wearing those glasses.
Oh, yeah, I guess it's safe now.
Can you see anything with those things on?
No,
The
actually, these ones are ISO, so we're good.
He's been running into the wall all day long. I keep hearing those thuds. I was wondering what's wrong with
I wonder
you.
when my face hurts.
So you're back.
Yeah.
You emerged victorious.
Yes, highly.
The weather did not hose us, but it was
Until
close.
after. We actually got super lucky. We had some weird clouds in the morning, and then they went away. And then we had some high clouds, and then those went away, and then the eclipse happened. And then it was clear all night, so we got to do some nighttime shooting too.
So walk me through what happened. I didn't go up with you guys
Yeah.
because being in the car with a bunch of telescope nerds sounds terrible to me. But
Yeah.
I did authorize a ice cream party that Kevin took up there from Graders. He brought some of the things up there, I've heard, but absconded with others. Tell me how the chocolate sauce was at the Sunday party.
He texted me on Sunday and told me that there was a 2-pound vat of chocolate sauce for the ice cream.
Chocolate sauce, marshmallow.
Yeah,
I think
and
they got
whipped cream.
toffee sauce, whipped
Toffee
cream,
and whipped cream, yeah.
cherries, and 20 cups of ice cream.
Yes.
This is how benevolent I am as a supporter of astrophotography
Yes.
without actually going.
He kept the 2 pounds of chocolate sauce for himself. But the ice cream was very good, thank you. It's very thoughtful.
So Kevin did not bring the sauce, unfortunately.
He did not bring the sauce,
But the skies did not bring the clouds. You brought the telescope and camera, and things happened.
Yes. So this is a stunt double. The other one's actually already packed up for its trip home, but we were able to get quite a number of pictures. We were capturing a photo about every 30 seconds
Okay.
during the lead up to the eclipse.
Now, was that just the 4 minutes, or a little bit before, a little after, or did you go longer?
The about roughly hour and a half before, an hour and a half after.
Oh, so you went quite a while.
Yeah, we shot continuously for a handful of hours.
Okay.
All of it fed into our ThunderBlade beautifully.
Not RAID 0.
Not RAID 0, RAID 5.
Okay.
I double checked that when we got there.
Good.
Kevin likes to change things around sometimes before we...
See, that one's too high effort because it's software RAID. He'd have to log in and do some stuff.
Find the
if you just had a
license.
dip switch on it, then it would be
it
different.
would have been RAID 0.
And all your data would have been gone too,
Yeah.
which would be exciting.
No, Blade performed really well. The camera, taking during the actual eclipse was the part where we wanted the speed because we were capturing frames all the way from 1 millisecond all the way up to 1.024 seconds on a continuous loop for that 4 minutes.
And we should put up some of our favorites while we're talking about this.
We got a wide range of exposures, high dynamic range, if you would, ranging all the way from darn near complete darkness all the way to totally overexposed. But it allowed us to get a nice wide range of data in order to process through that. Took us a little time, but we're over 60 gigabytes worth of data captured onto this guy, with the bulk of that coming in during those 4 minutes because of the frequency of the pictures.
And that gets to, I think, and we talked about this in the run-up a few days ago before you went out, the value of a device like this is not so much in its 4 terabytes or 32 terabytes of capacity, it's in the reliability, because when you're shooting the eclipse, or if you're on set shooting a commercial or offloading data from a camera or a series of cameras, you got to have it. It's got to be right, and it's got to
Yeah.
be fast in that moment.
When that moment happens, you don't want to run out of SLC cache on your drive, and then all of a sudden you're slowed down to really slow speeds, and you got pictures stacking up, waiting to come in. Now your camera has to wait in order for it to, or you're going to fill up system memory first, which again, we can configure around all these things, and we have enough hardware to throw at them, but not everybody does. It
Or
comes back
wants
to
like
yeah.
the simplicity of what this drive enables is really a big part of the value prop.
Yeah, plug it in, it shows up on the PCI bus, SoftRAID recognizes it, it knows how to work with it. You can set it up. We set ours up for digital photography. Like I said, there's that
had
drop
that
down among, there's like a
preloaded,
video one in there and a data one in there. And it just worked. We really didn't have to think about it or worry about it, which was kind of the best part. All we had to worry about was the clouds.
Well, now the clouds didn't come, but now the problem is you're done with it, and you're gonna let them have it back.
I was gonna give it to Vince.
I'm sure Vince has put up like a firework of like emoji or something
thank God.
in the edit.
Yeah.
Vince is like, yeah, please send to the silent guy.
Yeah, and that comes back to if you need this, you need this, and
Yeah.
he's in the business of needing this. So hopefully our friends at OWC might let Vince take it for a test
Well,
drive.
we'll explore thieving the ThunderBlade or
Yeah.
forgetting to return it, but yeah, the notes are that it worked exquisitely well.
Yeah.
We'll have a link in the description below if you want to check out the full rig and everything we did on site.
A little bit of coverage on SoftRAID 8 and the big updates they put through on that as well. That was a big thing.
Yep.
It's been a number of years since I checked out the old one, and the new one was, like they said, it was much easier, much more reliable, and much simpler.
Faster, yeah. So we'll do all that. We'll illustrate some of our favorite photos or highlight those. And yeah, this is the light data rig for mobile scientific data gathering.
Any
and
sort
it's
of,
worked
yeah,
out supremely well.
multimedia type stuff. So
Yeah.
thanks, OWC.
Yeah, thanks again to OWC for providing ThunderBlade
Sponsoring the project. We really appreciate it.
and another positive, well-executed project in the books,
Yeah.
which is good for us. We like to have some wins every now and then.
Every now and then, I'm eyeing what's on the table over there.
Check out the Discord to stay in touch with us. We've got all of our projects going on in there all the time, where we keep you updated on what's going on and solicit feedback from the Discord on what's next. You guys recently voted on a server to review of 3 possible options. So the Discord really does influence what we do. We appreciate the support there. Again, OWC, thanks for the ThunderBlade that you may or may not get back. And until next time, thanks for tuning in.